For pages 2-7 and 2-8, we are going to look at solving proportions. So these are algebraic proportions. So that means, as you can see down below, we have one fraction equal to another fraction. Those are proportions, when you have one fraction equal to another fraction. So when we solve proportions, the first thing you do is called cross multiply. So what that means, you'll have A over B equals C over D. So that's your original proportion, however it's set up. Cross multiply means you multiply the two that are diagonal. So A times D is equal to, that's where usually people get confused, is what they do after they multiply. When you cross multiply, it's always equal to the other one, B times C. Now it doesn't matter what order you actually put those in, as long as you do diagonal multiplying and then equal to the other one. So when I say cross multiply, that's what I mean. Take the top of one times the bottom of the other one, and then vice versa, and set those two products equal to each other. After that, you'll just have your regular solving like we've been doing. So step 2, you might have to distribute. And then step 3, we'll just say solve, and I'm going to put move variables to one side. Again, that's going to be if needed. You might not have two variables. So I'll show you the long way that you can do number 1. You can actually write out 4 times 6 equals x times 3. And again, that can be in any order. You could have done 6 times 4 instead of 4 times 6, 3 times x instead of x times 3. You could have had them flip-flopped, so the x and the 3 on the left-hand side and the 4 and the 6 on the right-hand side. That doesn't matter as long, again, as you multiply these two and these two. So I'm actually going to rewrite it as 3x equals 24. So I'm going to flip sides just because I'm used to having my variable on the left-hand side. Some of you won't have to write this. In fact, I hope you get to the point where you don't need to actually write that out and just multiply and multiply. Set them equal to each other. This one, all I need to do then to solve is divide by 3, and x equals 8. Again, in order to make sure you have the correct answer, you'll need to plug it in. So you'll do 8 divided by 6, and make sure you get the same thing as when you do 4 divided by 3. Number 3. This is where we already have a little bit of crazy stuff going on. So first I'm going to notice that I'm just going to do 2 times y is 2y. When you do the other two, you're going to have to do 5 times y minus 3. So you need to put the y minus 3 in parentheses to show that you're multiplying 5 times this whole thing. Now, some of you will be able to just distribute as you write the problem down. So you might be able to skip this first step. Okay? So you might be able to get right to 2y equals 5y minus 15. So again, if you're able to remember that you need to multiply 5 by both of those things, then you don't have to write this first step down. You could go right to this. So then I would move my 5y over, so I'm going to subtract 5y, then I'm going to rewrite it up here. 2y minus 5y is negative 3y, equals, make sure you write down negative 15. After that goes away, the minus sign goes with the 15. Divide by negative 3, y equals positive 5. Again, you would want to do 5 minus 3 over 2, and then 5 over 5 to make sure those would be the same thing. All right, so again, if you feel comfortable, I'm going to do 8 times x is 8x equals 3 times x plus 10. So I'm going to write it out just so you see that. Again, if you feel confident in knowing you need to do 3 times both of those things, or maybe put that in parentheses to remind yourself, you would have 8x equals 3x plus 30. So again, if you remember to distribute to both, you don't have to do that step. You can get right to 8x equals 3x plus 30. So then I can subtract 3x. That gives me 5x equals 30. Okay, 8x minus 3x gives me 5x, and then equals 30. Divide by 5, and x equals 6. So again, you would do 6 plus 10, which is 16 over 8 is 2. 6 over 3 is also 2. If you just type it into your calculator, make sure you put the 6 plus 10 in parentheses before you divide. Number 3, I'm going to start with this one. 3w equals 6w minus 12. So there I did not write out that first line where you show that you have to distribute the 6. I went ahead and just distribute the 6 to the w and the 2. So again, that's something that you'll have to decide if you're comfortable with. Then I need to subtract 6w to get the w's on the same side. Negative 3w equals negative 12. Divide by negative 3. W equals 4 would be your answer for that one. This one I'm going to write out. So I'm going to do 3 times a plus 1 equals 2 times a minus 3. So you have to distribute the 3 to the bottom of the other one and then distribute the 2 to the top of it. So 3a plus 3 equals 2a minus 6. So again, if you feel comfortable, you could skip that step as long as you remember to distribute to both of those things. Then I'm going to subtract 2a. Again, if you feel comfortable, you can subtract the 3 as well. That's up to you. 3a minus 2a is just a, or 1a, plus 3 equals negative 6. Make sure you bring that negative down with the 6. Subtract 3. Again, you could have done that in one step if you felt comfortable with that. And a equals negative 9. Negative 6 minus 3. Okay, number 7. I'm going to do 8m minus 64. Okay, so there I wrote it out without having to distribute. Equals 6m minus 54. And I ran into the other problem. All right, so again, as long as you can see that, you can do that, skip that step where you actually have to write them out with the parentheses, whatever you feel comfortable with. So then I'm going to subtract 6m from both sides. Again, if you feel confident, you can add the 64. I'm going to wait. So I get 2m minus 64 is equal to negative 54. Then I would add 64 to both sides. 2m is equal to positive 10. Negative 54 plus 64 is positive 10. Divide both sides by 2, and m equals 5. Again, you'd want to plug your 5 into both sides to make sure they would divide out to the same thing. Number 9, 5v minus 10. Okay, again, you have to distribute the 5 to both of those, equals 2v minus 16. So this one I'm going to show you the shortest, the least amount of work you would have to do. So that right there shows that you are distributing the 5 to the v minus 2 and the 2 to the v minus 8. Then you can subtract 2v and at the same time add 10. So move the variable to the left and the constant to the right. That would give me 3v equals negative 6. Divide both sides by 3, and v equals negative 2. Number 11, 4y minus 28 equals 3y minus 27. So then I would subtract 3y from both sides, add 28 at the same time. So move your variables to the left, your constants to the right. That gives me 1y, or just y, equals positive 1. Negative 27 plus 28 is positive 1. (13) 4r is equal to 2r plus 20. So again, it doesn't matter which two you multiply together first. When I look at it, I find which one is going to give me the variable, the bigger variable, so I put that on the left. Or if I know there's only one variable on one side instead of a variable and a constant, I put that on the left as well. But again, you can choose whichever one you want to start with. Subtract 2r from both sides. 2r equals 20. Divide r equals 10. And finally, number 15. Again, when you distribute that, 8u plus 19. So you have to do 2 times 4u and 2 times 9 equals, this one gives you 9u plus 21. Now this one you are going to end up with a negative u. That's why I wanted to do it this way, to make sure you saw that. So I would subtract 9u. At the same time, if you're comfortable, you can subtract 19, or you can do that in 2 different steps. But again, you would end up with a negative sign in front of u. We call that the opposite of u is equal to positive 2. 21 minus 19 is 2. So again, you can think of that's negative 1. Divide by negative 1, u equals negative 2. Again, you want to plug that into both sides there and make sure those come out to the same thing.